I'm Yvonne from Growing Old Disgracefully.
I'm Marie from Midlife Dramas in Pyjamas. You can find us both on Facebook.
And now we've come together to bring you inspirational stories from midlife and beyond in our podcast,
Hear Me Roar! Oh, hello.
Marie's stressing about her hair as usual. Yeah.
Nothing like the stress I had this morning, though, is it?
Well, this episode is Everything Starts with an Idea, but everything for you this morning started with the word fuck.
Well, yes, I better explain. So I was up, I was on the sofa on my phone, scrolling as you do. Hubby had suggested we had a nice breakfast outside of pastries.
Very nice.
He was going to get dressed and pootle off to buy said pastries. I'd already been outside and decided, yes, it was warm enough. And then I went downstairs to get the ironing board, thinking I would do a bit of ironing after. And for some reason, I glanced at the calendar and suddenly noticed we had 2 podcast recordings this morning. First one starting at 10, and at this point it was 9:35. I wasn't dressed, I hadn't had a shower, I still haven't, apologies for that, sitting so closely next to me. And all my husband could hear from the kitchen was, fuck, and he said it was like the opening scene of 4 Weddings and a Funeral. As I frantically ran round the house, throwing clothes on, he very kindly located my T-shirt and ironed it, and then I had to print stuff out, and it was a bit of a mad panic, shall we say.
Yeah, and round about the time that you were having a mad panic, I was upstairs putting my makeup on, thinking I'll pop some tinted moisturiser on, and then I looked at myself in the mirror, and I looked like I've been hit in the face. I think I'm having an allergic reaction.
To me?
Well, no, I think I'm having an allergic reaction to a horsefly bite that I got the other day. Yeah, but I've taken a Piriton and hopefully that calms it down. And
It look as if it's calmed down a little bit.
I'll probably fall asleep at some point.
Well, I'll just get my pokey stick and wake you up again.
Yeah. So anyway, this episode is with Anne English, and it's Everything Starts with an Idea. Anne English is a visual strategist, TEDx speaker, and author of the Clarity Quest Ideas book. She's a visual thinker with hyperphantasia, which she will explain, I'm sure. Anne enjoyed a brilliant creative career in her dream job for 25 years before being made redundant at 47. After a string of rejections, she founded her own business, Create Intrigue. Today, she helps individuals, creative entrepreneurs and visual thinkers turn the ideas they've been saving for one day into Day 1 action. Through her unique vision mapping method and visual doodle frameworks, brings clarity and creative confidence to midlife reinvention. So let's go and meet Anne. Hello. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
It's lovely to meet you. So this episode is called Everything Starts with an Idea, and we're raring to go and desperate to hear about your ideas. But first, we want to understand something which has probably had a huge influence on your ideas is hyperphantasia, which you've got, which it's not a disease or anything, but it's something that I hadn't heard of until I saw some information about you. So can you explain for us, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah, well, it's something I didn't realize. I only discovered about this recently, and then everything then made sense for everything that I've done in my life. It all made sense. So I'm going to take you back to a time I ended up during lockdown doing a TEDx talk. And my TEDx talk was about having an idea, making it reality, and all the twists and turns along the way, because I'm a creative and that's what I've done. That's the life I've lived. And I illustrated my TEDx talk. I knew that if I was going to do something, because I'm a visual communicator, it was going to be illustrated. And I created a big vision map. I call it a vision map, so a mind map of all the things I wanted to talk about in my TEDx talk, but you can only talk for 14 minutes, so I couldn't talk about everything. So that evolved then into a program, into a book. Got some visual tools here because I'm a visual communicator. My book, The Clarity Quest, I was talking about this in an event and I was showing it. Now, as you look through, you'll see it's all illustrated. So there was a person in the audience that saw me talk about the book and what I did, and came up to me afterwards and said, I don't know how you do what you do, because I've got aphantasia and our work as a finance person, really successful as businessman. But he was like, I've got no visual thoughts. And for me at that point, I was like, well, how do you think? Obviously, he could think. He was very successful. But in my head, it was like, if I don't think visually, then I can't think. I even kind of count numbers on my fingers or kind of crossbars and stuff.
Yeah.
But when do we ever think about how we think?
Yeah.
So I came home, and as you do, I was kind of straight on the computer Googling it. And I looked up hyperphantasia, and then I found there was this visual scale. And at the other end, sorry, I looked up aphantasia, and at the other end of the visual scale was hyperphantasia. And I was like, that makes sense. Now you can see I've got my Mickey Mouse behind me. It sounds like something, doesn't it, out of my favourite movie, Fantasia.
Fantasia,
It
yeah.
sounds like something that Mickey Mouse invented. But I mean, I love Disney. I've worked with Disney. I've worked, I say the big three: Santa Claus, Willy Wonka, and Mickey Mouse. That's been my creative career. So then it made sense of everything. So we all belong on this visual scale, somewhere between aphantasia, not having a visual mind, and hyperphantasia. Now, I would say that I am a multisensory hyperphantasia because not only, I've always said I hear words and see pictures. I didn't realize how true that was. And my head is full of maps and I can connect the dots and things, which has obviously helped me with my creative career. But also there's feelings which go with that. So, for example, some words that kind of have movement with them and things. So yeah, it kind of just then made sense of everything. So, for yourselves, for people that are listening, they might also then start to think, ooh, am I on that visual scale? I mean, we could do a quick, fun kind of, it's like a test, but it's a quiz if you want, if you're intrigued to
go
find out more.
Yeah.
On us.
Go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah,
But
go
Go on
for it.
then.
So
Yeah.
think
on
about
then.
this one. So think about lemon.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you're thinking about this lemon, could you pick it up? Could you turn it around? Could you cut it in half and imagine seeing inside of it?
Mhm.
Did you hear the sound when you cut it in half of the
Yes.
knife going through it and hitting the chopping board? Can you pick it up? Can you squeeze it? Can you smell it? Can you smell
Yes.
what it smells like?
Yeah.
Can you now taste it?
Yeah. Ooh.
I was going to say, has your mouth started watering? It's all of these things. Now, if you don't have that kind of visual recall, and if I was to ask you to describe the lemon, you might say, well, lemons are a fruit and the yellow. You know what a lemon is,
Yeah.
but maybe if I asked you to describe a lemon and you were more visual, I mean, what came to mind when I said think of a lemon? Where was the lemon?
It was on my green chopping board.
Yeah.
Right. So you say you've started to add a visual context to that. You can kind of see that in your mind's eye. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, you've never heard of the word hyperphantasia before, but
No.
you're somewhere on that visual scale. So I'm kind of raising awareness of that because for me that makes sense of everything that I do. And it also makes sense of I used to think I was a bit stupid, a bit thick because numbers don't compute with me, data, that kind of thing. And I've been at events, at masterclasses, at conferences where people have talked about things, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I've realized if I can't form a visual picture in my head, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense why I do what I do because people say
Yeah.
to me, oh, the word that comes to mind is to say that I help them get clarity,
Yeah.
which is why I've called my TEDx talk in the book The Clarity Quest. And I realize it's because I ask a lot of questions. So if I
Yes.
can't picture it, but then it means that other people have to explain themselves so that I can then illustrate it or create a mind map, a vision map of their ideas. So yeah, it kind of it makes sense of everything now. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that until a couple of years ago.
But it's interesting because I write books and people often say to me that my books are like movies and they can picture them in their heads. And I think it's because when I'm writing them, a movie is playing in my head
Yeah.
as I'm writing.
Yes.
I really visualize the different scenes and what the people look like, what they're doing. And then I turn this movie that's in my head, I have to turn that into words and describe what's going on in my head.
Yes. I love it. You see, that's what I talk about, it being like you have movies playing in your mind.
Hmm.
Wonderful. So, I say we all belong. It's not the kind of like, well, I do talk about we all have superpowers. It's not like, this is
Mm.
better than that. It's we all belong on that visual scale and we all need each other.
Hmm.
Before I came onto this call, my headphones weren't working and my husband's an engineer. And it was like, John, can you come and help me? He's brilliant with the technical stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we all need to tap into each other's skills. Well, okay, I mightn't be able to do that, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you started your own business, you spent
Yeah.
25 years doing what you describe as your dream job. So what was that dream job?
So my dream job was working for Santa Claus.
Oh, well, now I
So
get it.
So I did Christmas displays in shopping centres. So I joined a business called Centre Design. There was the two directors. I was the first employee. And then over 25 years, that business grew into the major provider of Christmas displays and Santa's grottos in shopping centres. So that's where this knowledge about having an idea and making it reality comes from, because I've literally lived that idea. We would start with a map or a plan of the shopping centre, and then I'd visualise in my head what was going to look right within the shopping centre, or if it was a Santa's grotto, I'd visualise the walkthrough, the experience that you would have. So yeah, it was just amazing, to be able to do that. I don't think I had to grow up, which was fantastic.
Well, yes, if you were working
I
with
still
Santa
believe, by
Claus.
the way. I do
Yeah.
still believe.
Yeah.
But you got made redundant, I believe.
Yes, in 2013. So Centre Design was the trailblazers, really. We had amazing people working in the organization. So whatever we could kind of dream up, we could achieve, because there was people from them being product designers through to illustrators, painters, or lots of the creative people, and then the practical people that could, I was out on site in the middle of the night installing them. And then there was another business that was, we were seen as number one. Number two was in the Midlands. They were merged together to form a business called Fuzzwire. So when they closed us down and moved everything to the Midlands, that whole business then collapsed. So I was made redundant then, as well as a lot of my colleagues. Yeah, and then both businesses ended up collapsing and moving out of the marketplace. So
That's a shame.
that was a shame, really. But you know what? It's all of these pathways. I was then looking for my next ever job because I absolutely loved that business. If that hadn't happened, though, I wouldn't be talking to you today. So,
No. So how did that make you feel at the time? Because I had a job where I
Stressful.
worked 2 days a week and it was not my dream job. And I was made redundant. And I sort of fell into an abyss of feeling like I'd been chucked on a scrap heap. I was useless. How did it impact you when you were in your dream job?
Do you know what? The emotions are coming. I don't know whether you can see. Because I say I started there with the two directors over 25 years, everybody else that came through that business I knew. So it was
Yeah.
like losing a family. And you know
Uh-huh.
what? We work together as a team to kind of make the magic happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, instead of having a kind of a leaving party, I actually organised a reunion because I wanted to make it more hopeful. I wanted to bring
Yeah.
people that had left together to kind of
Mhm.
connect people. Um, and then I tried to get my next, what I was looking for was my next forever job.
Hmm.
So I was applying for job after job.
Yeah.
And sometimes as well, it would be a form that you'd have to fill in. There would be a big process of filling in, this form online, and then you'd hit send, and then almost immediately you get a reply back saying, sorry, you've been unsuccessful. Often I was just discarded because I didn't have a degree, even though I could do work.
Yeah.
And it got to, for 2 years, I just kept applying and applying for jobs. In the meantime, I had people who knew me say, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that project? Can you help us with the window display? So I was doing work kind of freelance, but my focus was on that next forever job.
Hmm.
Until I retired, it was like another 25 years. And I remember sitting at the Christmas dinner table at my husband's mother's house, his parents' house, and she said to us, she was being lovely, she wasn't being nasty, but she said, how's it going? How's the job hunting going? And I remember just bursting into tears, turning to my husband and said, I can't do this anymore. Because, like you just said, my self-worth, every time that rejection letter came through, and one of the jobs, I thought I got the job. I was down the last two. Got on really well with the guy who was kind of interviewing and running the business. It was for an architect's practice doing the marketing job. And I got phoned up by the recruitment agency and they said, you haven't got the job. I was like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, you haven't got the job. And I was like, but we're going on really well. He went, oh, yeah. I've got the skill. Yeah. But he says you haven't got the job because you've got wanderlust. I remember at the time being furious, having to look it up in the dictionary and go, wanderlust, what does that even mean? Because in my kind of head and my heart, I was thinking I was looking for my next forever job. I was like, I stayed with the last business for 25 years. I'm looking for my next business 25 years until I retire. That's it. And she was like, nope. He says you've got wanderlust, you're not going to stay. And I talk about sometimes people seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself. So that rejection, I talk about rejection now being redirection when you've got time to reflect. That set me off on a different path. Those key moments where it was just that realization that I can't do this anymore for my self-worth. So I'd kind of already started building my business, but it wasn't the key focus. And everything that I do develop from people saying, can you help me with this thing? Because they knew that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
So that's how it evolved.
So tell us about your business, Create Intrigue. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, Create Intrigue. So it's a visual communications business. So I've always mapped ideas when I got a brief from the client. But remember, that was all hidden behind the scenes. So I would come up, doodle my creative solutions. I was running the design studio at the time. So I'd sketch that out and then give it to the illustrators who were absolutely brilliant to draw up. And I would always start with the plan. So when I got made redundant, people would say to us, can you help us, for example, with my website because it doesn't represent who I am? Or can you help us with my exhibition stand? The first thing that I would do is grab a piece of paper and start creating, visually mapping out the ideas. And then the clients I was working with would go, hang on a minute, what's that you're doing? And I'm going, well, that's how you get ideas out of your head. That's like, you get this dot and you get that dot and you connect another dot. That's how you make sense of things. I realized the more clients I was working with, the more that they valued the process, the actual piece of paper that I was writing the ideas on. So that evolved into vision mapping, and then that evolved into my own method. So it's actually kind of like a coaching process, really, where I have discussions with my clients and we talk about all sorts of ideas, we explore them, and then I put them together and categorize them into making sense. So we either form a vision tree to grow your business, or we form a signature system to build your brand. So the signature system will be more like the process that you take people through. So that's more for coaches, somebody that doesn't have a tangible object, but actually what you sell is your knowledge, the fact that you guide people through the roadmap from having a problem normally to coming up with a creative solution. So that's how that evolved. So there's actually three sides to my business. So there is more, which I can talk about as well.
So you've explained visual mapping, but you also do vision doodling. Is that what that what this
visual
is?
doodle.
For
yes.
Our listeners,
so that's the roadmap.
Piece of paper
with a lot of doodles
with a lot
on
of
them.
doodles on.
Connected.
Oh, I put it upside down.
Connected by wiggly lines.
So it's got things like sea of negativity, the universe of creativity. World of your imagination. I mean, I love it as a piece of artwork on its own.
Yeah, it's great.
So I didn't have visual doodles as part of my offering. I've always doodled ideas. Have you ever watched a TEDx talk? Do you know what a TEDx talk is?
Yes.
About people sharing their ideas. Some people know them, some people don't.
I love watching them.
Yeah. Love it.
Is that the same as a TED Talk?
Yeah, TED Talks, TEDx Talks. So TED Talks are the American official ones, and then TEDx Talks are the licensed brand that. So I did one with Newcastle University. I love them because it's all about sharing ideas.
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I always said if I do a TEDx talk, it needs to be illustrated. Anyway, I got the opportunity to do a TEDx talk, so I kind of had to illustrate that. And I ended up at an event drawing what the speaker was talking about. Then I got asked to put that on social media. Then I got an inquiry for a commission, and I couldn't believe it because it was actually Brené Brown's licensed facilitators here in the northeast of England. So my first commission to do a visual doodle was actually to take Brené Brown's Dare to Lead course and create 5 visual doodles that sums it up.
Wow.
Oh, right. Wow.
I know, unbelievable. So my TEDx talk ends up, there's doodles that happen all the way through, and it forms a roadmap at the end of it.
Mhm.
So then that became another one of my offers. It became another one of my services because people were like, how do you help me with that? So not only do I create visual doodles for other clients, I now teach visual doodling as well and how to create different images yourself. And I run Daydream and Doodle days, and during those, you're creating your superpower self, but you're also creating your map of your world. So yeah, that kind of evolved just again out of, a doodle is just getting the ideas out of your head in a way that you can then communicate that either to yourself so you can see it visually or to somebody else when you're trying to explain it.
Yes, and sometimes it's easier to understand it if you can see it drawn rather than just,
Absolutely.
seeing a list of writing.
So people and brands are using your business from a branding point of view to help them get their business right and formulate their strategies for marketing and things like that, and putting themselves out there, but also as individuals to kind of join the dots through the doodles as
Absolutely.
well.
That's it. You see, I've been painting pictures in your head, and now you've joined the dots and you formed a movie. You could do a movie of my life now. I love it.
So you've had this almost sort of midlife reinvention where
Uh-huh. I
you
thought
were
you were going to say crisis, actually.
no
Like, let's go reinvention. Let's
no,
go
the opposite.
transformation. Yeah,
Where you were pushed into making some changes by your
absolutely.
circumstances, and you've not just taken like that as a right, okay, I'm going to change my direction and do this for myself, but then you've created opportunities and you've built on the opportunities and you've built your business into something which, well, really, you've taken something which didn't exist and you've made it a thing now.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So that's what you do. You give it a name as well. So
yeah.
at first, my doodles were visual note taker, but no, start owning it. So that's my visual doodles. My own version of mind mapping, and I'll call it vision mapping. So
Mhm.
another part of my business is I teach visual marketing, which is actually based on visual merchandising, which is your traditional window displays.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people said to me, oh, yeah, but I don't have a window display. And I'm going, well, you do. We all have a shop window in our pocket. It's called a mobile phone. So
Yeah.
if your businesses, if you've got a website, maybe an Instagram page, anything like that, that's your shop window. So it was after I was made redundant, and there was a group at the time called Inspire, the Inspire Network.
Oh,
I
I've
ended up
heard of that.
yeah, I ended up going networking because remember, the people that I work with were like my family, my friends. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, then I lost that. I was applying for jobs. I was disconnected from, disconnected from people. So I ended up going networking just because I needed to be in the room of other creators. So in this networking group, somebody reached out and said, can somebody help us with my table display? I'm selling products. I don't know how to present them properly professionally. So I just said, yeah, I can help with that. So I reached out, and at the time, well, the lady had a business called, and she still got a business called Powder Butterfly. So I said, well, set it up on your dining table at home. I'll come round and I'll show you what to do. So I took a photograph afterwards, and then I explained how you can move that around to make it look a bit more professional. It was very close, but she knew instinctively it wasn't quite right. So then I took a photograph afterwards because I said, you're going to need to be able to do this yourself moving forward. So I was like, oh, well, there's threes and there's triangles. And, I was talking about this stuff that I just intuitively knew about.
Mm.
And then she was like, you need to teach this. Like, I don't teach this.
You've got a
In
magic
fact,
power.
well, for 25 years, when I did the displays, I never did the presentations. I would never, ever stand up and do the presentations. I would
Oh,
give it to
right.
the sales team. create the presentations with the
Mm.
team. You know, I'd create the
Mm.
plans, I would do the storytelling and all of that, but I would never present it. So, yeah, but then she ended up doing a networking event, asked us to be the speaker. I was like, no, and she was like, please. Anyway, long story short, went along, spoke for the first time, absolutely like way out my comfort zone. I had to sit down because I thought otherwise I'm going to fall down. But then from there, people are like, oh, can you teach me? Can you come to our network group? Can you? So now I also teach visual marketing principles, which again, got the ideas out my head, created a mind map of all the things that people needed to know about their brand, senses, you know, how I call it the secret sense strategy. So it's like selling without selling. It's just like how you present your business, which would have been your shop window display.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
now that manifests itself in different ways. So it might be even things like exhibition stands, you know?
Yeah.
So that became, when I talk about the power of three, the third part of my business that kind of just evolved from, first of all, helping somebody else. Yeah.
And then realizing that there would probably be other people who would
Mm,
appreciate that help. And then things just start to snowball, don't
absolutely.
they?
Absolutely. And you just mentioned the magic word, which I talk about in my TEDx talk. It's the word just,
Yeah.
because the word just reveals our superpower. So sometimes we diminish our own superpowers by going, oh, it's just, you know, I say we're all creative in different ways. So it might be that you just bake a cake or just do the gardening or just, you know, that kind of thing. But then sometimes other people, they see your superpower in you. So they might go, ooh, can I just pick your brains? Can you just do this? You know, so it's listening out for that word just, because it's something that you probably find easy, actually other people find valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your secret superpower?
Yeah,
That's my
that's it.
question to you.
Well, I don't know.
What about that?
Yeah,
Have to
I
have
mean,
a think.
I did similar to you and did a bit of a midlife reinvention and started writing books. So I think my secret superpower is just writing stuff.
Yeah.
Just writing stuff.
So
Mm,
you were in your late 40s when you started your
yeah,
business. A lot of people, women in particular, start to lose confidence around that age. Sometimes it's connected
yes,
to the menopause, sometimes it's just because we're
absolutely.
aging, we start to feel invisible. How did you negotiate that and where did you find that confidence from?
So again, I'm getting emotional. Oh my God, it was just little tiny steps. It was
Yeah.
reaching out and finding the right people as well. So, you know, whilst I'm seen as a coach, a guide or whatever, every coach needs a coach. We
Yeah.
all need each other. It's finding the right people that are going to help you, that are going to empower you, that you can talk to when you're in tears, you know, when it doesn't
Yeah.
go all right, that can pick you up. So yeah, it's been a long journey. Uh, but it's just step by step. So, you know, yeah, there has been times where I've just thought, oh, what am I doing this for? You know, I can't do this anymore. I'm sure we all have those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
is that
then,
when your friends pick you up and you're finding your
yeah,
tribe? That's what you always say, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Find
Find
your
your
it is.
tribe.
But you know, it was something that my daughter said. She was kind of just in her teens. She probably forgets that she even said it to me. But the night before I was meant to do that first talk, and I got told that there was going to be 100, sorry, not 100, 40 people. I mean, it felt like 100 people. 40 people had signed up. And I was like, and I'd done all my slides. And my daughter said to us, Mom, just tell me, just tell me. And I turned around to her and I went, and I choked. I could not speak to my daughter. And in my head, I was going, like, what if I fall over? What if, you know, all the what ifs,
All the what's
the
ifs.
crazy what ifs. And my daughter just said to me, Mom, it's not about you, it's about them. And I felt
Ah,
at that moment that I just I was just
yeah.
literally grounded. I was like from floating around in kind of hyperspace in this crazy, like, what if world, to
Panic.
just going, yeah, to just going, you know what? I love helping people. I love helping people. So I need to go out there with not the opinion of, like, you know, what do people think about me? It's like I've
Yes.
got a message to share and the right people will hear it. So when I did my TEDx talk, I mean, I was quite fortunate, I think, because it was during lockdown. So there was actually nobody in the room. It was filmed. I was in a film studio, but there was just the camera, a bit like this. So I just
Yeah.
talked to the one person that needed to hear my message. You know, I ended up speaking at UK Startup Week a couple of weeks back on the stage there, and that was quite scary.
Mhm.
There was Daniel Priestley followed me, Paul Mort, who's, a renowned speaker, and then later on there was Sarah Davies was on that stage. So that was a big,
Wow.
it was like, but again, I just spoke. I just thought, to be honest, I couldn't see anybody because the light was so bright on me.
Yeah.
I just thought I am speaking to the one person that needs to hear my message. So going forward, that was part of the reason why I wrote my book as well. It was about don't let your ideas die inside of you, for goodness sake. Just don't. And your mind is a place for generating ideas, it's not for storing them. You've got to get your ideas out of your head. I want to empower you. Yes, I've got a magic.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen by magic. It is a process. That's why the Clarity Quest got the C in negativity. It's got this twists and turns along the way. The twists and turns represent your self-talk because your self-talk will determine if your ideas become a reality. Doesn't matter if other people say you're brilliant. Doesn't matter if other people say you're rubbish. What are you saying to yourself?
Yeah.
And as I say, I've been on that journey. I've learned along the way. I've connected with other people that have helped me. I've helped people. So when I talk about the power of three, this is the kind of like my little trick, a visual trick that I do. We often think, how am I going to do something? So I hold up 3 cards, HOW, and we think, how am I going to do something? And actually, those 3 little magic letters, you just swap them around. WHO, who can help you? Because it's as simple as that. There's somebody that can help us, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Just reach out to other people.
Yeah. Well, we found that, haven't we?
We have. So your book, The Clarity Quest,
Yeah.
where can people get that if they're interested in finding out more?
So the Clarity Quest Ideas book, it's a guided journal for you to capture ideas. So it takes you on the journey and there's pages in there so you can write it down. It's black and white purposely because I want people to colour it in and just tap into their creativity. So it's available on Amazon. You can go via my website as well, annenglish.co.uk.
Super. So that kind of takes us on to the most important question of the day.
Ta-da!
Your cocktail. If you were a cocktail or mocktail, what would you be called and what would be your ingredients and why?
Yes, well, it would definitely have to be a mocktail because I don't drink. So, yeah, let's go for the mocktail.
Okay.
Shall we call it, we'll give it a name, the Clarity Quest Cooler,
Yeah.
especially with this hot weather. So we will add some apple juice for sweetness and clarity. Ooh, shall we put in some passion fruit for that kind of, what are you passionate about? That bold imagination. Lime juice. So yeah, we're going to need some uplifting energy. So we'll have some lime juice in there. We might need a bit of lemon juice as well for that clarity. Add some mint leaves. We need that fresh focus, don't we? So a sprig of mint leaves because we're growing ideas here. And then some sparkling water. A little bit of fun, a little bit of fizz to make it pop. So yeah, I think that's what.
That's really nice. Marie's been writing it all down.
Well, we're going to actually make all these cocktails.
And mocktails.
Yep. So that's going to be a lovely, refreshing one, isn't it?
That's going to be the one that we have in between the alcohols.
In between the alcoholic ones. We'll have one of yours. That would be
You've just reminded me. Yeah, my nephew, Rick Wood, although I always call him Nicky, he is a barista, he's a barman and stuff, so he could I think I might ask him to create my cocktail for us. So I'll send you a picture, the visual side of it. I'll send you a picture and the recipe.
Thank you. Well, it's been lovely speaking to you, Anne. Thank you so much. It really genuinely has. A lot of things that I'd never thought about before, but probably
you've given us food for thought there. Yeah,
probably new, but you explaining it makes you really know, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But
it's about raising awareness, isn't it? Because we can all help each other, and I don't want anybody to feel that they're alone or that they're worthless or they're useless or whatever. It's just about understanding yourself, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's what you do, and I love the fact that you're raising awareness of all sorts of different things, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we're really enjoying it. We're loving it, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
It's been absolutely fascinating.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to our guest this week, and thanks for listening.
and we look forward to roaring with you again.